So it's wonderful to be able to welcome Andreas Müller here to A Traveling Lighter. Uh, Andreas, I fumble these introductions all the time because I could talk about where you're from and what you do, but that's kind of irrelevant to the message that you're sharing. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, I'd say that's correct. Thanks for the invitation, by the way.
Oh
It's
no,
lovely to be here.
great. Um, so and what I've started doing is asking people for their origin story as if they were superheroes, you know. But if that's relevant or not, it's up to you. You can share with us.
Well, to be honest, it's not really relevant for what we talk about here. I mean, I'm open to talk about it if there are any questions, but there's nothing really special about my story, I would say.
Uh-huh.
So we can skip it.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's go right in then. And I know that your approach, you kind of
Hmm.
call it an approach. It's again, I'm fumbling, but it's kind of very non-stick, but you know, it's very removed of any culture, if you like. You know, if you think of culture in terms of, you know, Sartre and Becker talked about culture being death denial. So any kind of act of imagination, any thoughts or ideas are totally irrelevant to this.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, it's not part of a tradition. I mean, you can find pointers of what we talk about or about this message here and there, but in the end, it's very direct and not really coming out of a tradition. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's in that sense not really about ideas or concepts.
Mm.
Mm.
What I find is that either people have arrived here through some kind of tradition or they
Mm.
arrive spontaneously and then they go into a tradition to try and find the words to talk about it.
You mean regarding this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to be honest, if it's really this, it can't be part of a tradition in that sense
Mm.
because it's too direct. You know, in a tradition, it always seems to be about something. It's always this doesn't need a context. Let's put it like this. And a tradition is always kind of a context, a greater story.
Because this is the context.
This is everything. Exactly. One could say so. What happens or what seems to be happening is everything. And it's non contextual. It's not part of something bigger or greater because it is everything.
Mm.
So every context would actually limit this.
And this is the $67,000 question because the people gathered here are practitioners in what's called context-oriented arts.
Mm.
We use applied theatre to question this, you know, to orient toward context. Is it possible to orient towards context?
Is it possible to
Orient towards context.
um, orient,
Well,
sorry,
direct towards.
direct towards context?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't say so, of course.
My life's work is totally hopeless.
Well, everyone's is, so that's all right.
Yeah. But it's a wonderful escapade. You know, when you fall short, it's funny.
Yeah,
And so what's to do?
well, it depends on what you want, but usually people want to find fulfillment, personal fulfillment, for example, by approaching a higher truth or by approaching the truth, which is kind of part of every path or every attempt, uh, yeah, like yours if you want so, and that's just a futile attempt,
Yeah.
so in that sense there's nothing to do.
Hmm.
nothing that has to be done. I mean, doing is happening naturally, but it's not really in order to gain something deeper or to gain more. So whatever you do or whatever you don't do, it will not lead somewhere really in that sense, closer to the truth. Or in the end, it's always about personal fulfillment. I want to gain something from what I do on a deeper level. I want to gain something deeper. And this just will never really happen.
Mm.
But that's not wrong. It just is like that for everyone, so to speak. So,
Mm. Yeah. So I I read a quote by Jiddu Krishnamurti the other day, and he said, "My secret is I don't mind what happens."
yes.
Does Andreas at any point mind what's happening, like in the world? In
Well, again, it depends on how you define it. In that sense, I don't mind.
Mm.
There is no, but it's always referring to this personal experience because the me or this personal experience does kind of always mind in terms of what does this mean for me? If this and this happens, what is the impact on me and my life? And if this and this doesn't happen, what is the impact of this? And this collapses when the me itself turns out to be illusory. Nothing matters anymore. It doesn't matter if I'm happy or sad to me, because this me is an illusion. And the happiness or the sadness themselves, they don't care. They are totally fine being what they are. So, in that sense, I don't mind.
Is there if there's not the personal, but is there an interpersonal aspect, a kind of empathy, if you like, for suffering in the world?
Yes, but I would say it's more direct. It's not like I don't feel empathy for the suffering of the world or something, because I would first need to imagine a world. But of course, when I meet a person directly, I can sense their feelings, and there's a kind of an empathy and a compassion, of course.
Mhm. Because there's it's horrible to use this spiritual concept of the shadow or the dark side, but we had Jack O'Keefe last month talking about her initiative, the I think it's integrity and spiritual teaching, and one part of what I what happen I don't mind what happens can also be what she calls spiritual bypassing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, because that's what I mean. It depends on how you define it or what you refer to.
Mm.
Because I'm not taking on a position in here where I don't mind about anything else. This can very easily become, well, I wouldn't call it bypassing, because whenever there is a person, there is some attempt to juggle with the world. Um, yeah, but that's not what I mean.
Mm.
Because this character, there are things which this minds about or which seem to be more important to me than others. But this whole thing, I don't care about. If Andreas likes or dislikes that, that's totally fine. It's just what happens. So it's not coming from a separate position where I don't mind. I don't mind. That's personal and a bit arrogant also. It's keeping up a separation between me and the things. In the end, I can't mind about anything because there is no one separate. Everything is just fully itself. That's very different from how it's often understood.
There's a word that keeps coming up, Andreas, um, and I apologize for this word. It's salvation.
Salvation, yes. Well, there is no such thing really, I'd say. It's a hope. Salvation is a hope of the person. One day I'll be free. One day I can leave all the suffering behind me. One day I don't have to feel like this anymore. I can only feel happy. Or one day I will have arrived. I think that's the main idea about salvation, this feeling of a burden dropped off from my shoulders. But the hope always is that I will be left to experience it. And I'd say this is a hope that it will never be fulfilled. And on the other hand, what I talk about, the collapse of this illusion to be someone is kind of a salvation, but not for someone. It's the dropping of the actual burden, if you want so. But what the person is longing for is, yeah, one day I leave it all behind and there's just me being happy and fulfilled left. It's a nice dream. I believed in it most of my life, but it turned out to be a dream.
So when did your dreams crash into pieces?
Well, in the end, let me see, what year do we have? It's almost 14 years ago, quite a while. And it was very unexpected. It was the least thing I expected that I, this, this feeling, who I thought who I am, this sense of presence, the seeker, that this itself isn't real. Because I was seeking in my story, now we can talk about my story, I was seeking, yeah, for most of my life in the end. And when I mean seeking, I was seeking for happiness in spirituality, or mostly. Of course, it was also about money and dream partner that came just on top of it. It's not, most spiritual people also seek those worldly things on top. So I was one of them. Not necessarily after money, but yes, and that was the least thing that I expected, that the seeker itself isn't real. So it was a surprise, an utter surprise. That this self that I assumed to be energetically, not just as a concept, I really felt as if there is a me in my body, and that this me is the source of my life, and that it's doing things, and that it is approaching salvation, approaching wholeness, approaching the truth by doing things, by being aware, by doing the best I could. And sometimes there seem to be successes and failures, and good phases and bad phases, and all these ups and downs that the person knows. They, of course, were also my experience until the I turned out to be an illusion. It's funny, so unexpected. As I said, I couldn't comprehend this even. as an idea before. This was not what I was looking for, because I was also looking for salvation. That when will I be free from seeking? Mm.
This word seeker always comes up, but I'm sure that's quite a small percentage. Well, no, I mean there are people seeking material, or like we said, but there's a I would say there's a group that aren't seeking anything. They're kind of in standby mode, or I don't know. I would count myself as a non-seeker. I mean, maybe I'm more of a escape artist rather than a seeker.
Oh. No, I mean there can be, I mean, you called it standby mode.
Yeah,
So I know a lot of people who aren't really consciously deeply seeking, but there's still some kind of waiting, some kind of living in a narrative, even if it's very reduced and it's not big fantasies or something, but it's somehow, which isn't wrong. I don't say this to make it wrong, but there's still some kind of waiting,
kind of loitering on the edge of the abyss,
a bit like that. Yeah, that can happen.
hoping you're just gonna take a wrong, you know, step and fall in.
Yeah, or somehow just still kind of living in this idea that there is something called fulfillment and that there is an abyss and that you are on the edge of it. I mean, that exactly is the illusion, if you want so.
Yeah. So it never appeared to you as a like this emptiness, this terrifying kind of dark night of the soul that many people talk about.
Oh, well, I had so-called dark times,
Mm.
of course. Yeah. And yeah, was I afraid of nothingness? I mean, yes, I was in the end. I think in my story, I wasn't. I was blessed with not being too scared. But of course, when it comes to one's own existence, or when it turns out that one's own existence might not be real, I think it's quite natural that somewhere there's also fear. Because in the end, that's how it feels, at least for a while, as if one is losing oneself and losing all that one knows. And yeah, there can be fear. And I had that. As I said, not too much, but I know it. I know it.
Yeah, I think I had absolute terror,
Yeah.
and it was quite young, so that's why I still run from it. But it's difficult once you've seen it or not, whatever.
Oh, it's fear of death.
Yes.
In the end, that's how it really feels.
Mm,
And one can't talk oneself out of it.
mm.
Because as long as you can talk yourself out of it, it's not really fear of death. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what?
Well, I have a friend, he says since he's 5, again and again, not every day or something, but again and again, there's a deep felt fear of losing oneself or no self, not being there, nothingness, emptiness. Uh,
Yeah, and it has really dawned on me how all culture is a denial of that, is an escape from that somehow.
Absolutely, exactly. In that sense, just what we talked about before, everyone is a seeker. Everyone is trying to escape this existential moment of existence versus non-existence. No one really wants to go there. People usually, which isn't wrong, and people usually distract themselves by seeking, by doing things, money, job, family, spirituality, practices, doing this, doing that, just to keep oneself occupied, to not face the possibility of absence. It's funny, when I was seeking, I always thought I'm on a path and it's good that I'm doing things and I'm moving on and I'm moving towards this salvation. But in the end, it just turned out that I was just circling around myself, not 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 wanting to face it, that I might not be real. I mean, it's not a conscious process or something, but yeah, it was a bit, yeah, disappointing almost to see that what seemed so valuable to me, my achievements and, well, wisdom. I don't know if 30 euro can be wise, really, but I regarded myself like that for a while. Yeah, that this didn't help me at all. I was just occupying myself,
Hmm.
to keep myself distracted from this one question, so to speak, from this one apparent question. Do I actually exist? Am I real? I mean, it wasn't in my hands. So it's in no one's hands. No one can consciously do this or that. But that's what seems to be happening.
Hmm.
That seeking is rather distracting oneself than leading somewhere. But it feels different. Understand? It completely feels different. It really feels as if one is on a path towards something greater. It's an experience.
Hmm.
It's not just a conceptual thing. It really feels like that.
It's a bit like when you speak, it's like whack-a-mole. Another, salvation comes up, then this other word comes up, grace, when you say it's not in your hands, grace.
Mm.
But then you just think, oh my God, that's another kind of thing to hit, and it's going to be about a religious kind of, there's somebody else up there smiling at me, and yeah.
That's the thing with grace. The person will turn it into, okay, it's not in my hands, it's in someone else's hands.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, people might not say God, but they still assume there to be something out there which then is in charge, life or the absolute or something like that. Yeah, that's the problem with the word grace.
And then all of this thing comes in that, well, maybe I don't deserve it, or you know, maybe it's
Yes,
not my karma.
yeah. I think that's a big one, because of course the person thinks that liberation is personal, and it thinks that it's only possible for, or well, it starts thinking that it's very special, and that it's only available for a few. So yeah, that's the dream, that it's personal and that only a few can attain it. But I mean, in the end, that is part of that personal experience. I'm not there yet. I'm not fulfilled yet. Something is still missing. This impression is part of this experience to be someone. So, in one way or the other, the person will usually come along like that. I'm not worthy of that. It can't be me. It's only for special people or something, which is not the case because I'm not a special people. At least, at least I haven't noticed it yet.
Oh, you mean you're still sitting on the same level as your audience, or you on a plinth yet? Or you higher up? Or
No, it only happened once that I was sitting higher up, but I tried to avoid it. Yeah.
maybe I'll open it up if that's okay to anybody else. I want to open up I'm still got you pinned, but anybody who wants to ask a question,
Hmm.
you're welcome to put your digital hand on. If you don't know how to do that, it's a react button at the bottom, and you just put your hand on there, and I think I'll see your hand. Or just there's not many of us, so just ask a question if you have one.
Hmm.
It sounds very nihilistic, very sort of, well, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to be. Why bother? What do you do with your time, with your days?
Well, yeah. Yes, that's a difficulty with what we talk about here. Um, I know it can easily be misunderstood as nihilistic. In the end, I'd say it's much, much better, if one can say that. All those things just aren't needed because what happens is utterly perfect. So it's not my attitude towards life. It's not that in here I have this attitude that doesn't matter, that's of no use, um, but kind of still suffering inside. It's a surprise that everything, whatever happens, is already perfect. And not just as a concept. That's also not something that I tell myself in order to convince myself. I don't need to talk myself into an artificial state of it's all whole and complete. But it just turned out that my ordinary life, I mean, our lives are mostly the same anyway. We sleep and we have breakfast and we get up and go to work or do something, and then there's maybe lunch, or our lives aren't so different from each other. But the surprise was that it's all whole and complete. While I thought I need to do certain things in order to make it whole and complete in the future. In the end, energetically, I think this is way more nihilistic, because this is saying, I'm not there yet. Okay, I have to brush my teeth now, but my fulfillment will come later. Okay, I have to meditate now, but my fulfillment will come later. So, in a way, seen from this personal experience, it's already saying no to everything energetically, because it just feels as if I'm not there yet. My life isn't perfect yet. That's why I have to do things. And I'm just saying, oh no, that's the illusion. You don't have to do things. This I doesn't exist. It's all perfect already. You don't have to seek. You don't have to struggle, so to speak. But I understand the person, the me, always hears no. You can't do anything. Well, I don't exist. What my seeking doesn't have any value. But that's not really how I mean it. I mean, it doesn't have value, that's true, but it was a dreamt value anyway. It's just coming from a dream. So I can understand that it's perceived as nihilistic, but to me it's absolutely not. It's actually implying this huge yes to the life that already happens. It's like saying us sitting here together is whole and complete already. While the person would regard this meeting maybe as just a step on its path. Person might say, oh, it's nice to be here, it's fun, but what I'm actually looking for still has to happen. So energetically, the person would somehow say, this is not 100% complete. But when this illusion collapses, all that's left is what happens. And surprisingly, it turns out to be complete.
But there's a very, the reason it doesn't feel 100% complete it is because a large percentage of it contains this illusion of a person taking up this space that isn't actually here.
Exactly. I think that was a big surprise for me, that this impression that something is missing, actually at first that it's just an impression, that it's not the truth. Most people just really think that something's missing. They think they should have a different neighbor, or should have more money, or should have less thoughts, or they really think that there is something wrong, or with how they are, or with how they behave or look even. They really think there is something wrong. So for me, it was a big surprise to see that it's just a feeling. And the second surprise is that this feeling just belongs to this sense of me. You can't even separate those two. Because in a way, that's what the me is trying to get rid of constantly. I'm feeling unfulfilled, but I want to feel fulfilled. And it never really works. Because me and this impression to be unfulfilled, they just go together. And in a very funny way, it's not based on anything. It's not based on that something is really wrong, or that in that sense. It's just a sensation, a feeling. Which, yeah, as I said, isn't based on any truth. It just feels like that. Somehow, the moment there is this illusion to be someone. And I have no idea why. I can't explain it. There is no real explanation for this. But
Yeah, I mean, something Carl Friston, who I mentioned earlier, talks about is this if you drop a liquid onto a surface and it expands in the line of probability, then that's kind of what you would expect. But if it starts to gather towards a center against the line of probability, then you think, well, that's alive. And once it does that, it has something called the Markov blanket, which is a border that it must protect. So it's almost like all life develops this separation. It's like it's a part of it. It's the condition of life, having boundaries, and then we've just created the psychological model of it.
yeah, well, but I think nothing actually has an experience of that. I think it would only be this impression to be someone which feels separate and divided and within limits.
Mm. So is that a story that our separate mind has created about life, or is it science?
Say again?
So this quality of life, this thing that gathers towards the center, that breathes, if you like, and then creates a boundary, and then has to, and then what Friston says is from then on, your function is to gather evidence for your own existence. And this is scalable from the simple organisms up to us.
Yeah, and I would disagree, to be honest.
Mm.
I would say that this is an impression
Yes.
that comes, or a conclusion that comes from this separate position. It's the observer that projects its own experience into things, because those things, they don't experience themselves as that, because they don't have a center. The sun doesn't have a center that experiences itself. The microorganisms don't have this feeling of having a center that circles around itself. I think it's just this sense of me which has the experience of that. And of course, when the me observes objects, it's coming to the same conclusion. It just sees itself in everything. So I would disagree with the world famous neuroscientist.
Does anybody else have any questions? Thanks for that, Alice.
I mean, in the personal world, in this personal experience, it just feels like that. Every me experiences itself as the center of the universe.
Yeah.
The me is actually always the center, and everything happens for me or through me, and it's all about me and my life and my fulfillment and my happiness as an experienced reality. And I think nothing else in this whole universe has this. I would say actually not even the human body has this. Only this illusion of me in the body thinks that life is personal, that the body is eating food, that one can go on seeking, that one needs money for a flat, that one can go on seeking. Maybe the body would just do that all by itself, like any other things, like all the animals, like all trees just grow, not in order to become fulfilled. That's just what they do, for no reason, for no deeper reason, really. And I think it's actually the same with us humans. Only this illusion to be someone circles around itself and thinks it's all personal, and that life is about me becoming happy and fulfilled. It's a dream, it's an illusion.
I want to provoke you again, Andreas.
Please.
The whack-a-mole. Is this a satsang?
No, no, we're just having a chat. do I do I sound as if I'm preaching? I'm sorry.
No, but there's this idea that being in your presence, like in this satsang, there's a resonance, and it's going to, we're nearer, we're stumbling nearer the abyss because we're in the presence of somebody who isn't here.
So no, it's not a satsang.
Okay.
Would you just explain that, Kieran, please? I mean, a sat is the truth, is it? I don't know what a satsang is.
it's generally what some non-duality speakers, teachers call a meeting, um, because there's this appeal not to listen only to the words, but there's a resonance, if you like, that I mean, some people would say, I'm actually not talking to you. I'm just talking to this. There's something else happening. I don't know if that's a fair description, Andreas, whether you...
Yeah, I think it's coming. I think it's a Sanskrit word, and it's called meeting in truth or something. And often spiritual teachers use this as a name for their for their events. And yeah, the basic idea is that when you're close to a master or something, that there's some, that's a method, that's their method. But in India, it's actually a common term. They also use it for a gathering of friends or something. In India, this term is way less spiritual than it's used in Western spiritual circles. Well,
because the tendency then is to make this is something special happening here.
yes, I understand. Yeah. I mean, I think this has two aspects because, on the one hand, it can have an impact on people's lives or on the personal experience also. And of course, the person will instantly turn it into something special. It's actually a hope that this is special. It's looking for the special thing that will give me something. And I understand that it might seem like that for a while, but it isn't. It's just us having a chat. But it's a chat in which one's own existence is questioned. We don't talk about soccer results or something. So some people might think that that's special. It isn't. But yeah, people can be touched by this, but also by soccer results. But well, see,
There was one person, I can't remember his name right now. He wrote a book called Perfect Brilliant Stillness. And he spontaneously kind of in the jungle, woke up or whatever, liberated, went to study with Ramesh Balsakar, I think, and wrote one book and then and just became a carpenter. And he was quite adamant that people shouldn't be teaching this, shouldn't be sharing this, shouldn't be making a living out of this. I'm not saying I agree with him at all, but what do you think?
well, I think yes and no. I mean, the funny thing is, if we talk like that, it's already relative to each other. I mean, I'm doing these talks for many years, and I'm living of it right now, at least. So, but I think the same. One shouldn't want to make a living from it. My impression is in my story, it developed quite naturally. It was never my intention or my plan to live from that. And I remember in the first years, for the first 4 years, I had meetings at home. And there were 2 people coming once a month. And then someone asked me to write a book, and then I wrote a book, and suddenly after 4 years there were 5 people coming, and after 6 years or something I got an invitation to the UK, so I spoke in English, and suddenly there were a few more people in English coming, and for the first 6 years I just had another job, and I was never pushing it. It was it gained its own momentum, but I certainly think this is not a job. I think either it happens like this or it doesn't. And what I meant with relative, I mean, it's funny with David Cars, I think. He wrote this book. I think I read it, I don't know, 15 years ago. It's somewhere back there. I mean, the funny thing is, well, he still had to write a book. So, and in timelessness, that's what I mean with relative. In timelessness, one book or 10 years of speaking is just relative to each other. But why write a book then in the first place?
Yeah.
But I get it. In the last years, people ask me, I want to, several times actually, I also want to become a speaker. How do I do it, Andreas? Can you tell me how you did it? And I can just say, well, I was never forcing it or pushing it. I was open to not even becoming a speaker. I was just open to schedule the next meeting. There was never the idea that I want to be talking about this or becoming a guru even or something. It was just, there was a meeting, and usually there was the question, oh, when do we do this again? And so it happens naturally. And if life wants that, it can stop any time. Actually, when I was, after 5 or 6 years of my job and the possibility to flip over to that, I wasn't even sure if I want to do that. It wasn't like this clear decision. Yeah, I can. Oh no, I wasn't sure. I would have also been kind of okay to stay in my job and have this safe money. And so yeah, I agree with him and I disagree.
The people in these meetings, they're people who are delivering a course or training to deliver a course called Coming to Our Senses, which combines kind of applied theater and mindfulness, but from a non-duality perspective, you know, and it's a delight to a common kind of feedback is I feel like I'm traveling lighter, and these are not people who've come to a teacher or anything. It's just a course, and it just reveals a few things that allows them to travel lighter in life. Uh, and I love to do it, and I'll keep doing it simply because it's a joy to do it. Is there a sense of that as well when sharing this?
What do you mean exactly? What are you comparing right now?
It's well, the groups. There's a kind of sense of, I mean, seeing that burden of we talked about the struggle, kind of the seeing that struggle dissipate in the people that listen to you. You can't say it's rewarding, but is it something that um, is something joyful to behold? And yeah, it's risky, isn't it?
That's a mean question, yeah. Let's put it like that. I mean, people meeting this, they go through all kinds of, um, well, as we said, they are facing the issue of their existence and non-existence. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they have a happy time. But I personally haven't met anyone who was worse after meeting this message than before.
Are you sure about that?
I'm said who I met in person.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of people who meet this message from a distance and they become nihilistic or regarded as a very negative philosophy or something. But usually when I meet people in person or they meet me in person, it becomes quite obvious that it's not this mind thing, or that it's not, yeah, that's way more natural than it might sound at first, what we talk about here. And yeah, people collapse around this, people lose concepts and all kinds of things. But I think for a lot of people, it's also not very different from doing a course. You know, they come to this message and they feel lighter a bit, but then they just go on living as a me. And yeah. Because the thing is, I don't have an intention. I'm just saying there are just these conversations, and whatever comes out of them for each one is unpredictable. And it's not really about anything coming out of it anyway. But as I said, it can have quite an impact on people's lives. But only if they come with an openness. And it's not it's not an openness in terms of having an open mind or something. It's unconscious. You never really know beforehand who's open or not.
Is there a is there a sense of responsibility?
Not really. In terms of what? Responsible for what?
I don't mean to blame. I don't mean I'm not using the word in that sense, but an ability to respond. You know that there is a um, it's not like one takes on, you know, what great achievement that they've ended this meeting feeling great or anything like that, but just a sensitivity to um, or awareness of um,
Mm.
individual vulnerabilities, if you like.
Oh, I'd say so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That doesn't mean that they are always regarded with an artificial, making a word, um,
Okay.
yeah, let's put it like that. Yeah, it's not trying to not, yeah, it's hard to say. It's not holding back just in order to keep some fake peace or fake harmony or something. But I'd say, yeah, there's certainly an awareness about that.
Mm.
I mean, the amount of awareness that seems to be happening for Andreas, what this thing is capable of. Mm.
So we're coming up to the hour, and I just want to leave a little bit of space just in case somebody has a question. Just unmute yourself and ask it. You don't have to appear.
Mm. Questions, criticism.
So,
What's the opposite of criticism? I don't know.
praise.
praise, yeah. Or just nothing.
Silence.
Just to say, you sound very happy. So, I mean, maybe happiness is an illusion as well, but you you sound very cheerful and like you found joy.
Yes.
Whether you sought to find joy or not, you have the persona of somebody who has it. So I appreciate that.
Lovely, thank you. No, happiness isn't an illusion. The only illusion is that happiness can be owned by someone. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. In that sense, it is apparently traveling lighter without seeking, and happiness is quite natural. One doesn't need to work for it. Yep. Thank you. Happy that you are happy too. Wonderful.
So I've got another question. Sorry, I'm hogging because there's nobody else coming up with a question. But we talked about culture being this kind of denial of all of this. But what does your cultural life look like now that it isn't used as ape?
My cultural life. Well,
Listen to
give
music.
an example. Do I still go to the theater or
Yeah.
what?
Do you listen to music or do you?
Yeah.
Or do you just sit there listening to the music of the spheres? I don't know.
No, I listen to movies. Sometimes I even go to museums since a few years, not recently, but I had a phase a couple of years ago where I saw art. But yeah, I think unfortunately stuff like that was never too interesting for me. But I used to be acting actually, by the way,
Yeah.
but not professionally, but semi-professionally for a few years.
Ah, that's interesting. Bogdan here he's an actor. Don't know if you have a question, Bogdan.
I mean, it happened until I was 25. So
Uh-huh.
after that,
Oh, here he is.
hi.
Do you have an actor question?
No. Nice listening to you, but there's no question coming up.
Yeah, nice, lovely. Well, I always think if there's no question, I must have been really good.
Yeah.
That's true.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's been a delight. I feel like I've been to a stand-up gig as well as a satsang. But yeah, I expected this. I mean, yeah, it's a delight, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
And I really hope we can do this again in some form or another. Are there any dates that you want to tell us about, talks or something that we can just look on your website? But if there's anything you want to.
Well, yeah, if there's interest, I think one can just go to my website. That's am I supposed to say now? Yeah, it's thetimelesswonder.com. One word, thetimelesswonder.com. I think it's, yeah.
Okay. I'll put a link in it in the video. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Lovely to see you. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.